I'm happy to wait as well if the Minister wants to say something, but I'm not... I just want to make a few quick remarks. I probably would have covered this at second stage, but I think it's appropriate given that we are talking about important legislation. We live in a culture, Minister Lasky-Hirlig, which seems dismissive of long-term commitment, and to say that marriage is a social good or that marriage should be for life has become almost taboo. And there are various reasons for this. For a long time now, the idea that the state should recognise an institution like marriage at all is viewed by some as restrictive of their freedom and judgmental of their choices. And this might be called the libertarian critique of marriage. And then came feminism with all that is legitimate and necessary in its analysis and all that was reactive and destructive in elements of it. And the perception of marriage as an institution that in the past was restrictive of women's choices, well-being and economic independence caused many to desire its overthrowing. And then came what we might call the affirming culture, a culture in which it has become seen as necessary to affirm all choices equally. And in certain areas of human life, to stress the benefits of one way of doing things.
This is not second stage.
I know that. I just want to make a few points.
Well, you're allowed to make a few brief comments.
It's Thursday afternoon.
But keep them as brief as you can.
Yeah, I will. I promise you that. But I did say that in certain areas of human life, to stress the benefits of one way of doing things is seen as tantamount to causing a negative judgment on those who do not do things in a particular way. I suppose what I want to say is that all of this is unfortunate, because it is hard to deny that most credible evidence suggests that marriage has always been, for the most part, a social good, and that it still is a social good. In the past, it provided women in particular with stability and protection at a time when women's equal dignity was not recognised and their equal rights denied, or at least only taken into account when men's aspirations were fulfilled. Marriage is a good thing for couples, and it provides a stable family unit for them and for their children. It improves their lot in life socially and economically, and this in turn is a good thing for the state and for society as a whole, and that's why it's enshrined in our law in the first place. And to state these facts should not be seen as stigmatising single parents or unmarried couples with children. I've talked in recent days about evidence-based legislation. In this area again, I think that we see that state policy in the area of marriage and family is not evidence-based. It would be difficult to deny this, Minister, if you heard your predecessor as Minister for Justice, Francis Fitzgerald, say during the debate on the Children and Family Relationships Bill that there should be no hierarchy of families, that public policy, in denial of the argument that public policy should encourage a situation where each child would be brought up by a father and a mother, and where possible his or her own father and mother. So I think that without judging others, it should be a cornerstone of public policy to encourage marriage and to try and assist those whose marriages have broken down to reconcile to the greatest extent possible, while acknowledging that this will be impossible sometimes. And I suppose in many ways, Minister, the debate that we have when the legislation comes in will, I hope, be a lot different from the debate that we've had on this referendum proposal, because this referendum proposal merely gives the power to the state, to the legislature, to change the situation. I feel that during the debate that has taken place so far, there has been no discussion about children's welfare, for example. And there has been no discussion about whether we should have public information campaigns around the importance of the government, about the importance of marriage, and indeed discussion of the government's investing in pre-marriage courses to a greater extent than currently takes place. And comparing this, Lasky-Hirlig, and I am going to finish very shortly, if you don't mind.
Hold on. I have to tell you that unfortunately, it is unfortunate to miss second stage. This is only meant to be a few brief closing remarks.
I accept that.
There will be a further debate when the referendum is provided for, of course. Yes, I accept that.
But this, when one considers that this is a big change and this issue is now going to go to the people...
I can't allow a lengthy debate at this stage. There was a lengthy debate at second stage, and those who were here did speak at length.
Yeah, no, I accept that. I accept that, Lasky-Hirlig, and I will.
I'm sorry that I'm not allowed.
I know that.
I'm allowing you a few brief closing remarks.
Yeah, okay.
And I've no doubt you will find plenty of other opportunities.
Indeed, I will.
To be more fulsome.
Yes, but fulsome isn't a word I like, because it actually has a pejorative meaning. But I know you don't mean it to have it in this instance. I think we need to have a discussion about why the first significant piece of government policy in a long time, since the redefinition of marriage in 2015, is about making it easier for marriage to be brought to an end. When are we going to have the discussion about what we can be doing proactively as a society to promote marriage, and not just marriage, but lifelong marriage, and I would argue to promote as a specific social good the long-term union of men and women for the upbringing of children. Because I think that would be an evidence-based situation. So in conclusion, I look forward to a debate when we can consider how marriage has been impacted since the last divorce referendum, for example. There was some reference made earlier to the idea that people had said the floodgates would open. I don't believe that was a significant part of the debate in 1995. I think people were talking about the impact of divorce and children. They were talking about the connection between divorce and financial status and poverty and all of those challenges. And those questions haven't gone away, actually, and we shouldn't be afraid to discuss them. So I'm hoping that at a later point, when if the referendum passes,
I hate to be hurrying you up, because
I know that.
I probably largely agree with your views
I know that. I'm just hoping in conclusion.
I'm trying to be proper in connection with the procedure.
I understand, and you have to do that. I just hope, in conclusion, Lass Gearley, that if this referendum passes, and it may or it may not, I suspect it probably will, I'm certainly not going to be campaigning against the proposal. I'm sceptical of the proposal, all the more so because I haven't seen the energy around promoting a stable marriage. But I hope that at a later point we will have a sincere discussion about what we can do as a society to promote marriage, not just as one choice among many, but as a social good that serves the welfare and the well-being of children. And I think this is something that this government and other governments have ignored for far too long. Thank you,
Senator.